I'm Jermaine DeVars, and this is The Jermaine Plane. It's a space to reconnect with the music and memories that shaped us. Not just the songs we loved, but the stories behind them and the people we were when we heard them. I got to have honest, fun, and reflective conversations with artists like Take That, Ricky Lee, Samantha Jade, just to name a few, diving into the moments, the meaning, and the emotion tied to it all. Because when we look back at what moved us then, we start to understand who we are now. This show is about connection, reflection, healing, and coming home to who we've always been. I'm so glad you're here.
Flying back in time. This is the Jermaine Plane.
Oh yes, hello. It's Jermaine here, and welcome to the first episode of the Jermaine Plane. I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm really nervous about this. I'm a radio announcer. I have my own show called The Jermaine Plane, and this feels so new to me. This feels so different because I'm usually talking in between songs, but this is like a full-on conversation that I'm having with you guys. Nervous, but just to give you some context. Hi, I'm Jermaine. I am a huge pop music fan. I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up in the 2000s. I spent my young adulthood in the early 2010s. And the Jermaine Plane, the radio show, is a celebration of the music. I wanted a place where we could play all of the songs that we knew and loved when we were growing up, songs that we could kind of escape with, and just to really enjoy our Friday nights. That's how simple I wanted this idea to be. Then I decided, okay, it's time to bring guests on. It's not a radio show without guests. And I cleverly thought, I'm going to get these guests on as co-pilots on the show. So they're just going to come on, they're going to go and share their favorite throwbacks, and that's it. But as I was doing this, I started to realize, hang on, these guys are sharing some really, really great stories that are attached to these songs. Songs that connect to their childhood, songs that connect to their journey, their career, artists they've worked with, celebrities they've worked with, some real important key moments of their career, pivotal experiences. And that's when I really thought, you know what? These conversations are much bigger than what I can put on a radio show. I need a place where I can expand the show. I need a place where I can expand these conversations. And that's what this podcast is. It's a chance for you to get to know the makers and creators of the songs, the products, the things that you loved, and also people whose careers were heavily influenced by the things that we knew and loved when we were kids or when we were teenagers, young adults. That's what this podcast is about. Now, my first guest on the Jermaine Plane podcast is one of my good friends. We grew up in the same area together. Gosh, she had some stories attached to that. I'm talking about none other than Samantha Jade, the pop star that you know from X Factor. But there is a lot more to Samantha Jade that you don't know. But you get to know about the Perth girl who moved to LA in an instant and got chewed up by the music industry. And what I think, she got spat out and she had to start all over again. This is a story about grit. This is a story about determination. This is a story about family. This is a story about rebirthing yourself. This is my chat with Samantha Jade. Now, I want to throw you back just a little bit to the first time I even heard of Samantha Jade.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And the first time I saw you. No, believe me, it's so fine. Let's go back to 2009, Telethon.
Oh.
Right at the Perth Convention Exhibition Centre. And you were on stage performing this with your crew.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's Manda.
It's Manda, your
my
bestie.
best friend. Look, okay, let me talk you through this outfit.
Okay.
So for people listening that can't see, I am wearing a Wheels and Doll Baby tank top that I spent so much money on.
Right.
It was like $200.
Oh my
and that
gosh.
skirt is also Wheels and Doll Baby, and wow, it was expensive. I just remember saving all my money to buy that outfit.
Really?
Look at my hair, it's so dark.
I loved it. Well,
yeah, it's my chocolate. That's my real hair. That's my real hair.
That's
colour.
your real hair?
Yep, there's Christy, Amanda's sister.
Christy taught me in high school.
I know.
She taught me dancing. Is that crazy?
This is Perth for you.
It's Perth.
Everyone knows.
So small.
Everyone. Oh my gosh, this performance. I need to watch this back. Actually, no, I don't.
No, you don't? Okay. Well, I'll explain how I got to see you. So
Yeah.
I had a crush on this guy
Yeah.
who worked at the local Macca's in Ellenbrook, right?
Okay,
Shout out
Ellenbrook,
to
yeah.
Peter if you're listening.
Yeah.
And he was the hugest, I'm sure still is, the hugest Samantha Jade fan.
No way!
And I was like, who is this? And at the time,
Yeah.
he wasn't out, I wasn't out.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, and he said he's going to telethon to go watch Samantha Jade.
No!
So then I told my girlfriends, like, we got to go.
Oh my God.
So we went. He didn't even know I was there.
No.
And I'm sitting on one side of the theater. He's sitting on the other side, and he is going ballistics. And then he's writing on Facebook, "That's my crush. That's my
No.
girlfriend, Samantha Jade." And I'm like, okay, I have no chance with this guy because all he wants is Samantha Jade. Anyway, he came
I'm
out.
so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Look, it's all good. Look, if it wasn't for that,
so crazy.
I wouldn't have gotten to experience the magic of Samantha Jade before X Factor.
There you go.
So,
yeah, so when
brilliant.
I did X Factor, you would have remembered this.
Absolutely.
How funny.
Absolutely. Oh, I knew
Oh
all
my
of your
gosh.
songs before you even went on to X Factor because of this
Oh my
one performance.
Gosh, I love it. See, this is the thing that I will say. Because I remember back then, you think no one's going to see you. Because I remember this was the time slot. It was a late time slot. It might have been like 12 o'clock, midnight time slot.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one's going to see it. No one's going to care. And then it is that thing where it's like all of these things lead up to where you end up.
Absolutely.
So the small things are the big things.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about Perth for a second. Because
Yes.
I think because you and I are both from Perth, and Perth always has a special place in my heart.
Me too.
And I looked up before that you didn't really have that much of a musical family, right?
No,
So,
no.
so tell me about your upbringing in
Yes.
Perth and what led you to discovering the superstar that you are.
Well, so music was always like my mum and dad are music lovers. So there was always music on in my house. My mum is from Scotland and my dad is from India. So I came from a mixed household of listening to, you know, obviously the music we all love and know, and then different culture music too, which I think is what kind of has influenced my music and my life. But my nana and my papa on my mum's side, Amazing Grace is like a old Scottish hymn. That
Yep.
was the first song I ever learnt to sing. And
Wow.
it was, and it was in a, my papa would sing it to me in a Scottish accent. So I actually think I learned it in a Scottish accent. So that was kind of like, that was my first kind of introduction. My dad loved Motown. That was like his favourite style of music. So the Motown records, I knew every single song. That was my favourite music. And then I asked my family if I could enter a talent quest and sing. And they were like, okay, yeah. You know, my mum was like, sure. But she didn't know if I was like a, you know, good singer. She was just like, you know what, let's go for it. Let's
give it
try
a go.
it. Was at the local, you know, Westfield down the road.
Okay.
At the Galleria. I think it was at the
That
Galleria.
was my local. Oh my gosh, how
The
weird.
Morley Galleria.
I did a talent performance at the Morley Galleria as well.
Well, you're younger than me, so it
Yeah.
must have been a few years later.
years later.
But probably the same one.
Yeah.
And I remember going and I was so nervous and I got up and I was like, you know that where you have so much to
Yes.
like, like, and I finally got something out and I was like, oh, man. But it wasn't good. And the girl said to my mum, tell her to come back. She's got something in there. She's got a voice. She doesn't know how to use it yet. Tell her to come back. And so I took that on and I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to practice and I'm going to work really, really hard. And so my mum was like, let's get you a singing lessons. So I went and did a singing lesson. I did one.
Okay, one.
And it was so far because it was like in the hills. And if you're from
Yep.
Perth, you know that that's
Oh,
a big
yes.
drive, right?
Absolutely.
And my brothers were really little. My mum was like, I just can't like take you there and have the boys because they're like 7 and 9 years younger than me. And she was like, I'm sure you learnt enough in the first lesson. So then I just kind of taught myself and I went back 2 years later.
Okay.
And I didn't win, but I think I came like maybe second or third. I can't really remember. But I remember the girl saying to me, I think you've got something there. And I was like, okay. And then I auditioned for The Sound of Music, the musical, and I got the role.
Wow.
And I was 14. And that's when I was like, okay, I think that maybe I want to be a singer. I think this is it. Like
Okay.
I'd kind of always like, that was the dream, but that was like something where I was like, I auditioned and I got this.
Yep.
So that kind of made me kind of really seriously start thinking about music. And then I don't know if you remember Rumba.
Oh,
So
yes.
Rumba was coming to Perth.
Yes.
And there was a time slot at the very beginning for the opener to be from Perth. And I was like, I'm sending a tape in, but then I had no tape. So
Okay.
I was like, we need to make one. My parents were like, oh God, here she goes. So they hired my parents, God, they are just the best. They hired this team to kind of like film me doing the performance to then send in. Didn't get rumba. They were like, no thanks.
Okay.
Yep, pass, no. Didn't get it. But then that tape made its way to America. I do not know how.
Interesting.
I don't know. I still don't really know how it got to LA. But someone called us from LA, and that tape then went on to get me my jive deal.
Wow.
So it's just like a thing where just, you know, like I say, the small things and the big things. Because if it wasn't for all those little kind of steps, you know, I wouldn't have gotten to LA and to that deal.
Did you have an idea of what kind of entertainer you'd be the moment you were doing that talent show at the Galleria? Did you already have an idea? Hang on, I want to be a pop star.
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to be a pop star.
Yeah,
I was never confused with my vision of the lane I wanted to be in. Like I loved Mariah, I loved Whitney, I loved Celine, I loved big singers, but I loved Britney and I loved Christina Aguilera. Like I just wanted to wear really beautiful clothes, have big hair, great makeup, but sing and dance and put on a show. Yeah. And I've always loved the kind of old Hollywood era because you had to do it all. And I love that. I think that's the triple threat thing. Yeah. I love that.
The total package, the total pop package, right?
Yeah.
Now, you're quite a good dancer and you surround yourself with a lot of dancers. I know
my friends are dancers.
All your friends are dancers. I know the dance community in Perth, they're very passionate. How did that come across too? Because I feel like, to me, when I see you perform, I'm seeing Janet Jackson, right? I'm seeing that kind of thing.
Kindest thing ever. Yeah.
I'm seeing Janet Jackson because I'm seeing a really humble, lovely soul. I'm seeing a wonderful vocalist who can perform without choreography, and then you add the dancing on top of it, you add the fashion, you add the aesthetic, and it's like this total package, right? So, you know, with most singers, usually once they kind of establish a bit of a singing presence, that's when they kind of adopt the dancing. But you're very involved in that. So how did you get involved with dancing?
Well, when I think that came when I moved to LA. So I went to a school where dance was one of the subjects, but I was so bad. Like, I just wasn't a dancer. I didn't grow up dancing. Okay. My mum was a ballerina, and because of that, she didn't want to put me into dance because she was like, if you don't have the passion for it, I don't want to put you into it. And my passion wasn't that. It was always singing. So it kind of like worked out that I didn't do dance. But then I kind of got to the place at school where I was like, all my friends were dancers and I wanted to be a dancer, but I was always the singer, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I moved to LA, they were like, you need to learn to dance because obviously you need to be a triple threat if that's the thing you want to do, the pop star package. And I was like, okay. And then it was just like I rehearsed every single day. They had me in there over and over and over again, just dancing and dancing. Yeah.
With LA, I mean, I've heard so many stories of people, you know, trying to establish their career in LA and how brutal it can be and all those types of things. When you were signed in LA, what was your experience like? Because I know from Perth, growing up in Perth, it's quite, I'm not going to say it's conservative, but it's quite a slow place, right?
It is.
So going from there, then going straight to LA where it's just overdrive, meeting people, these extreme personalities.
Yes.
And I can't imagine being signed to, was it Jive? Jive, that you got signed to?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what, Britney and Justin's record label.
Yeah.
So how did you take that complete transformation of an experience?
I mean, I was so young, and like you say, Perth it's very laid back, and that is the beauty of the amazing city we're from, is that you can go there and escape because it is beautiful and it's small town vibes in a city, and I love that, and I'm grateful to be from there because it's such an escape. But yes, it is so different. So I remember being on the plane, and I was only 15, and I was like, I'm going to LA, like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
And when I remember getting there and just thinking like, wow, this is just so different to where I'm from. Yes. And actually it was a little bit more magical back then. I think it's changed a lot. Like it still had its spark because the internet wasn't what it is now. So you couldn't just get everything, you know, like we can now.
Absolutely.
At our fingertips. So it was exciting. And I remember going in for that Jive meeting and thinking, oh my gosh, like Britney has walked through these doors. She's walked in this hall, like, oh my gosh, like she has done this. She's auditioned in this room, like all of these things. And the lady who discovered me, her name was Teresa Labarbera Whites, and she had discovered Jessica Simpson and Beyonce. Those were her two other people that she had discovered. Yeah. She put Destiny's Child together.
Oh,
she was
my
part of
gosh.
like with Matthew Knowles. Yeah.
And she was developing you.
She was who found and signed me. So when I met her, she was like, yeah, you know, she'd always talk about like, you know, Jessica when she was young and Beyonce when she was young. I'm just standing there going, what? Like, this is just so weird. And it was so weird because you had to have phone cards back then.
Okay.
So I would use a phone card to like call my friends and give them updates on my life. And I'm like, guys, and they're in school at Hampton in Perth.
Mount
and
Lawley.
I'm like, and I'm like, guys, like I just was in the room with like Justin Timberlake. Like it was just such a weird, it was a weird life. It was a weird life, but a lot of pressure. And also when you're young, you jump into things. And I feel like as I age, I wish I had some of that spirit still. Because I think that's what you lose is the excitement and the you know, spirit to jump in. But I will say, like, I'm glad I kind of just dove in without knowing. I actually am glad because I took it all in. I really, really did. I wasn't as nervous as I am now for things, weirdly.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because just in LA, you probably didn't have time to stop and even allow your nerves to take any effect, right?
Absolutely.
It's just simply go, go, go. You're in front of people, make an
Straight
impression.
away. Yeah.
All that type of stuff.
And you're very much told. I remember being told by the label, like, you know, there are a million girls that would love this opportunity. You're constantly aware that there are a lot of people behind you in a line. And so, you know, and my mum and dad always did such a great job of being like, no, you're special and you're here because of you. And, you know, I never lacked in that. But, you know, obviously the industry is hardcore and it breaks you and it tries to keep breaking you. And you just have to find people and something inside yourself to keep yourself going. And it's hard.
I understand completely. We had Ricky in, Ricky Lee,
who knows all this too.
All
like
this
she
stuff
gets
too.
it, yeah.
And the biggest lesson she learnt was just simply, like she told me that when she got given the deal from Sony at 18, she turned it down because she was like, I don't really want. This is not how I'm seeing my career going. Yep. There was like, oh, we'll give you one single or one album and then we'll see where you go. And she had the balls to say no.
Wow.
But she did trust a lot of people in their industry very early on who appear so charming and so wonderful. Did you have that kind of experience too, especially in LA?
Oh, definitely. And Ricky, like, that's why, like, every time I see her, you just weirdly get each other on a level that other people just don't. And it's like an unwritten thing where you're like, we just understand. Because it's that thing of like, they say like when you're hot, when you're not, you're not. And it is true. When you're doing well, if something's happening that's great, everyone wants to be around you. Everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone has all the time in the world. Everyone's laughing at every joke. The moment you fall off or that it just doesn't work, people go with that too and fall, you know, by the wayside. But that is hard. It's really hard on your ego because everyone has one. And it's really, really tough to take when you're younger. Like I lost my deal with Jive. We actually left that deal. We left that deal. I actually didn't lose. I actually didn't get dropped. That's kind of been the story, but I actually didn't get dropped. We actually decided to leave. But when I left that deal, I was 22. No.
Oh my gosh.
No, I was 21. I was 21. Yeah, and it was basically like I would have gotten dropped if I didn't leave, but we made the decision. I trusted my management at the time that they were like, let's leave because you'll get another deal. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you're going to get dropped anyway. And I was like, okay. No, that was wrong.
That was wrong. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other story, my management, what they did to me. But, you know, that's, you know, it's over now, thank God. But I was 21 and I thought my life was over. I was like, I'm done. I'm a has-been. I couldn't get demos. Like it was really, really tough. And I'm 37 and I'm like, I was 21.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought and I allowed people to tell me that it's basically done for you at 21. It's crazy.
I'm happy that you said that you're glad you got that experience so early on, right?
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
you must have had so much support with you after that happened, going from the pinnacles to like the highest of highs, the mecca of popular music, then to be told it's done, you should leave. Who helped you get back on your feet to audition for X Factor?
Okay, so that was genuinely my family. So I was not going to do it. I was like, because I came home and I was like 24. I think I was 24 or 25. I was 25, that's right. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? It's all over for me. And I was singing on Glee. Before I left, I was doing vocals for Glee. But it was behind the scenes, right? So it was just people would hear it, but it would be the actors, mouthing our vocals. So that's not where I wanted to ever be. And so I was like, I guess I could do that. But it's not really what I want to do. So I thought I'd move home as well because I needed to come home to my family. I needed to be around people that really knew me. And I remember saying to my mum and dad, like, do I just try one of the shows? Because the shows like X Factor and The Voice and Idol, they seem to work really well in Australia because I feel like Australia want to be part of the journey from the very start. I love that about Australia. They're like, we want to help develop this artist. And so I watched that and I was like, a lot of people that are in pop here have come from a show. So I was like, maybe I do that. And that was kind of it. And I went in just going, if this doesn't work, it's over for me and I'll completely do something else, like not music. And if it works, it works. And thank God it worked out.
It absolutely did.
Thank God.
The one thing I want to know is everyone always talks about reality TV, right? Like, all the things are coming out of the woodwork and, the practices and, the ethics, all those types of things.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your time in LA and experiencing all of that rush in front of you, all of the people, the experiences, is that what kind of made you stay true and strong during that
100%.
X Factor?
Oh my gosh, 100%. Because I came from that kind of school of hard knocks, like in LA, where it was just like, I remember being told that I was like 16. My body had not developed. I'm small. I was a late developer. And, but I hadn't been to a gym. Like I just, I was young. And I remember I was wearing these little like low rise like jeans and I had a little bit of like stomach that was like hanging over the top of the jeans, like tiny bit. I'm 16. Yeah. Baby fat too. And I remember them being like, she needs abs. That's not good enough. She needs to get in the gym. She needs to stop eating. And I was like, well, not the label. That was actually management. And I was like, I remember my mum was disgusted. And my mum was like, that is not happening. She'll work out for her health. Absolutely. But no, like you are not going to tell because you're going to give her a complex. And to this day, I have a complex about my stomach. You'll probably notice in costumes, I never, ever, ever, ever show my stomach because that's a complex that it's a thing. But that's been put into my mind since I was 15, 16. I think I just was turning 16 because it was just before my 16th birthday because I remember I had this outfit I was going to wear and I ended up buying a dress that would cover my stomach because I was like, it's like little things that they, kind of, So and those things take a long time. Even my teeth, it was like I had, because these two are veneers, these two here. Yep. So I had like bunny teeth, like they'd always say the bunny teeth. And they were always like, you need to get your teeth fixed. And I did. I got braces and then I took them off too early. And then when I did X Factor, there's all these comments about my teeth and I got veneers straight away, just these two. Yeah. Like, it's just so many things that that's the hard thing is like, but also then you think, I'm putting myself out there for that because that's the job. But I wish it wouldn't have happened so young.
I want to take you back to when you were in LA, okay? Because I know you love acting. I managed to find something out of the woodwork.
Oh, no.
It's your first acting gig. Is this your first one? It's Beneath the Blue.
Yep.
Do you remember this one?
I sure do. There I am.
You're actually a really good actress.
Thank you.
You're incredible.
This was my first role that I actually landed. I'd been on 1,000 auditions before this role. But, oh my God. That's Paul Wesley from Vampire Diaries.
I saw that. That's crazy.
He was in this movie. Oh my gosh. So this movie, I went on this audition and I'd been on so many and none had landed, right? Like I'd gotten actually really close to 90210, the resurgence of 90210. Yes. So I was really excited about that, but then it didn't happen. And then I went into this one and they were like, call me back. Because I was so used to not getting the part, I was like, oh, I won't get it. Yeah. Anyway, this guy, the director of this film was so lovely and he was like, he's like, I think like we're going to keep your Australian accent. And I was like, because that's a really good sign when they change something, obviously, for you to play the role.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will get this. Anyway, so he he's like, come in and audition. He goes, all right, your character is a little bit slutty. I was like, oh my God. Okay. She wears a lot of makeup and she hasn't really found herself yet. And I was like, oh God, okay. And I think I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm 22 in this. And I was like, okay. Or I just turned 21. No, because I just lost my deal. That's right.
Okay.
It was 21 because I was doing this movie. And then after that was when we left, when the deal thing happened.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
Just around the same few months. So, yeah, so I got this role. I was like, this is so cool. And then they're like, you're going to the Bahamas to shoot it. Amazing. And I was like, the Bahamas? I was like, I'll take it.
Oh, my gosh.
So cool. So we got to spend 3 months in the Bahamas shooting this film.
Incredible.
Which was really, really cool. And then Paul Wesley was the lead character in it, and he was lead role in it, and he was so lovely. And he obviously went on to do Vampire Diaries, I think, the next year. So
Amazing.
It's really cool.
Well, going from that then to you playing Kylie in the INXS biopic and Home and Away, I guess what inspired you to make those decisions, make those choices as that character in Home and Away?
Well, so obviously I'd played Kylie and that was amazing, and what an experience, and just, I mean, I'm such a fan, and that was just a great first proper role for me to play, and I loved it.
Did you ever hear from Kylie?
I spoke to her, and she was
gosh.
so kind, and like she was like, you did a great job, and I was like, okay, whew, that's all I need, you know, is the approval of the person, and now I'm good. So that was amazing. Yeah, that was great. And then, so with Home and Away, they approached me and they were like, you know, we'd like for you to be part of the show, and it's such an iconic Australian TV show. There are so many incredible people that have come from it. And even without that, it's just like, it's an Australian, like, iconic moment to be a movement to be a part of. I've always watched it and seen it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I didn't even know the character yet. I was like, sure. Then they were like, well, okay, but your character, we want you to play someone that you aren't. Like, we want to have something completely different. And I was like, oh God, okay. They're like, you're a mother? And I was like, okay. And I was only 27. I was like, okay, you're a mother, you have 2 kids, but you lost your kids because you kind of do some really bad stuff. Like you deal drugs and you, me. I'm like, oh my God.
How did they think that you'd fit the brief? You did a great job. But it's like, oh yeah, Samantha Jade, the kind Australian sweetheart who hasn't done a bad thing in her life.
I'm such a clean, like, I do not do drugs. I was like, this is going to be hard research. But yeah, so that, and then like, and I'd like, you know, worked in some places, some terrible places, and done some things. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take it on. It on. And it was really interesting. I had to hold a gun because I actually like, I pulled a gun on people. Like I did some crazy things in the show, crazy things. But it was really fun because I was like, wow, I get to play this like kind of naughty girl, and I loved it. And I really, honestly, the character, because so I kind of every week would get my script. I didn't really know how I was going to exit the show. So I was like, am I going to die? Because I thought maybe I would die because I was getting myself into so many bad situations. I was like, they're going to kill me off. And then they didn't kill me off, but it was kind of worse. I got Nick Westaway, who was one of the famous, like, everyone loved him, one of the boys in the show. They're like, he's going to go to jail for your crime. And I was like, you're kidding me. So then I spent about a year of everyone hating me. I can't, because some people think it's real.
People are devoted to that show. I did work experience on that show.
Oh, no way.
Right, so I worked on that show for a week, and oh my gosh, the fans.
Yeah, the fandom is crazy.
They like, I think we went to Palm Beach and shot a bit, and all these fans, they just know when things are being shot, where and everything like that. So yeah, I can understand.
My God. The hate. I remember I went to, maybe it was Telethon. It was either Telethon or like Carol's. It was something that, you know, a lot of the personalities from Channel 7 do together. And people were like, I cannot believe what you did. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you got our favourite character killed off. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, that was in the script. I didn't do that.
My God.
It was really, really crazy. For like ages, I got heaps of like hate messages. It was really interesting. I was like, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you want to do acting again? Is that something you want to do?
Oh, definitely. I want to be in a movie musical. That has always been a dream of mine. Like growing up, you know, Grease was the first one. Obsession, beyond obsession with that. A million times, seen it a million times. Sound of Music, Chicago, what was the other one? Moulin Rouge. Like, I want to be in something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a dream.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to put it out there. Okay?
Yeah, let's put it out there. Tell the people you know.
I'll tell the people. Yeah, the 2 people that I know. That's fine. It's all good. It's still people.
It's people. Yeah.
So let's go to now.
Yes.
What have you learned in those 20, I'm assuming it's 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Going through LA.
Yeah.
Going through leaving now, knowing that you left the label through advice of management, going through X Factor, doing In Excess, Kylie, Home and Away. People always have the one thing that they've kind of learned. I was listening to a podcast you did with Casey Barros. Is that her name?
Oh, I love her. Yeah,
and you were saying that you don't have a champion. Or that you never kind of had it. So you're really learning all these things on your own and kind of, you know what I mean? Is there anything new that you're learning at this point in your career where?
Yeah. I think that I actually think that's the lesson, is that you have to always be open to learning because things always change. And I've been doing this a really, really long time. And there are things that definitely I know how to do. Like work ethic's a big one that I'm glad I learned in the States because it was really intense, but that's good because now I know when I'm on and I work and I go and I go and I go and then probably make myself get sick, and like and then have to take some time off. But my work ethic I know is always good. I know I'll deliver. But I think that something that changes is you have to listen to people around you. You have to listen to the youth and you have to listen to the people about what's cool now and what's, I'm not saying to jump on every bandwagon, but you do have to change with the times.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's big that I've tried to kind of listen to. And I'm very appreciative for social media in the way that I can speak directly with my followers and ask them what they like and what they want to hear from me. I always have a vision of what I want to do, but I really allow in voices and go, okay, they liked this. Maybe I'll explore that a little bit more. Or, oh, they like when I sing this way. Okay, great. Maybe I'll look into that. So I'm very open to constructive criticism and to feedback. And I think it's really important. So there's that. And then I also think that having the right people around you is probably the number one thing. It's really important. And I basically have the same people I've always had around me. You met my friend Zach.
Yes.
Who has been there since the start, literally the start of when the Jive thing happened, when all of my big moments when my mum passed away, he was there. He moved to Perth basically. He lives in LA. He is always, whenever I crumble, he is there. Beyond there to just pick me up. You need those people who know you at your lowest and also in those darkest hours. You need those people. And I've got my family. My dad is my rock. My brothers, their girlfriends, my husband. You just have to have a very close-knit crew. Yeah.
I've said this at the beginning that you're such a sweetheart. You have such a beautiful, radiant personality, so angelic, humble.
Thank you.
Who do you think is responsible for your personal makeup that makes you who you are? Definitely
my dad and my mum. My mum and my dad. I think that my mum and dad, they constantly are reminding us, my brothers and I, to be grateful for things as much as and my mum always used to say, my mum was very spiritual and she used to always say, it's written. Things are already as they're going to be, right? And there are no mistakes. Things happen for a reason. It's written. So you're going to go through ups and downs, but go through them, really go through them. And it's okay not to be okay. So whenever I do go through my low moments, and sometimes it depends on the day. Sometimes I read the comments and I see the bad one, and the bad one's it's bold and italic and underlined.
They scream out.
Yeah, and some days I don't, and I just look at the good. It depends on the day, or you can hear a comment, or you can have something happening in your personal life that you let control you. And she used to always be like, that's okay. No one's perfect. No one's okay all the time. So I think being allowed to fall and being allowed to have those moments, I think that's important. Otherwise, you can become a fake person.
Absolutely.
Because you're always putting on a front. Not that I don't try and always be happy, and because that's actually who I am anyway. But if I'm not, I will step back and I will sit back. You know, I don't like to bring people around me down, you know, and my dad is possibly the kindest, bubbliest, happiest, most real human you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
So nothing's too hard for my dad, and that lesson, I think, has been the lesson, that the thread throughout my life. Nothing's too hard. You can get through anything. Nothing's too hard. And so if someone asks me to do something, or, you know, like even I've done nearly 10 missions now with the Salvos, which I love. I love that work that I do. And a lot of the time, you know, that they're really emotionally grueling and draining, and you're meeting these people and you're like, how can I? You feel helpless because what else can you do? And my dad's like, always like, nothing's too hard. Like, keep in contact with them, and why don't you do this, and why don't you do. So I love that lesson from my dad.
It's so touching, considering what your family's gone through.
Yeah.
To hear something like that, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because I mean, some people just really think it's impossible to be able to go through, you know, grief and pain and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's very touching to hear that, especially come from your dad. So wonderful. Well, look, speaking about loud and bold things that have, you know, come on social media, let's talk about 10 years since Sweet Talk.
Yeah.
It's exploded all over TikTok.
This is so crazy.
This is crazy. I've just got a few videos up here that I have to show up. Like, look how much love you are getting on your socials. People, and the funny thing is, the thing I like is that people are actually like saying, everyone stream Samantha Jade. Isn't this wild?
I mean, it's absolutely amazing to see something that you did 10 years ago being loved by a whole new audience. Like, it's amazing. That's the power of music.
Absolutely. It's like, it's global success at the moment. I was counting the amount of videos that were made from that sound of your song. Yeah. And it's going up, I think it's up to 14,000 now.
Is it?
Yeah. So 14,000 TikTok users have made a video from your sound.
That is so cool.
And it ranges from so many people around the world. I remember you saying at that Casey podcast that you were on, The Next of Kin, that you would love some success out of the country.
Absolutely.
And I think that's happening.
Oh my God. Fingers crossed. I mean, it's so crazy, right? Because I like TikTok, and during COVID I loved it, but I kind of stepped back from it. I'm useless and I don't do enough on TikTok. But anyway, my little brother, he called me, and he rarely calls me or answers my phone calls. So whenever he calls, I get so excited, or I think something's wrong. So I was like, what's going on? And he's like, your song's going viral on TikTok. And I was like, which one? I was hoping obviously it was Peachy. And he's like, no, Sweet Talk. And I was like, what? That's 10 years old. That's so long ago. But also, yay, great. Amazing. And then I did look up all the videos, and I was like, this is so cool, because I do think it's one of those songs that just kind of stands the test of time. It's such a great pop song.
Absolutely.
And I know we're seeing a resurgence in pop, so I'm glad it's getting the justice it deserves. It's a great song.
You know, on behalf of me, the gays, the Aussie pop fans, we're all so happy that you're getting your flowers when it comes to your music. And
Thank you.
I love how a new generation is just becoming obsessed with you, which is brilliant. Which goes to show that you are listening to the youth and the way things are going. Brilliant.
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you.
What's the one thing you want the world to know about Samantha Jade?
Oh, what a question. That is a huge question. Probably that I really, really, really love what I do, and I always put my heart and soul into every project. I really do. So, and also that every time I get great feedback, and whenever I perform, and especially at LGBTQI plus clubs, I just get this love back, and that keeps me going. It fuels the fire in me, because sometimes that fire burns really low. It's a really tough industry. It's really hard. So yeah, I think I want them to know that I'm grateful for the support, because there are so many times I would have quit if it weren't for the incredible support. Yeah.
Brilliant. Samantha Jade, thank you so much for being co-pilot on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This has been the longest chat I've had, so I appreciate it very much.
I love it.
And I think that we're entering a brand new era of Samantha Jade. I really do.
Oh my God, I love that you said that. I hope so.
Oh no, it will happen. It will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Australia's sweetheart, Samantha Jade. I mean, what a story. I mean, a Perth girl going to LA in an instant from a video audition that someone just stumbled across and then just being thrown into the world of Hollywood at such a young age. You know, listening to her, she must have gone through so much to be able to maintain that humility, maintain that gratitude, and also have the resilience to start again. And that wouldn't have been possible without her upbringing, without her beautiful parents, just raising her to be the most kindest soul that she is. It was a really inspiring chat. Thank you so much for joining me on my first podcast episode of The Jermaine Plane. Hopefully I did okay. Please feel free to send your feedback. Follow The Jermaine Plane on Instagram. And if you want to listen to the radio show where we celebrate the music, we're on every Friday night, 7 p.m. on Nova Throwbacks. You can download the Nova Player app and listen to it from there. My name is Jermaine. We're flying back in time. Have a great weekend, week, whenever you're watching this or listening to this. And I'll chat to you next time.
Flying back in time. This is the Jermaine Plane.